Alright everyone, it's time for The Occult, video 155, Eclipses and Cosmic Movements. This is prefaced on, during my Eclipse livestream, I spoke at length about the sort of real occult nature of eclipses and things, the symbology behind them, and a bunch of goofy predictions of the end times because the sun will be blotted out, revelations have begun, and so forth. So I'll compact it into this video here for those that didn't watch the stream, who don't want like a 2.5-hour video. And actually, I had planned this before the eclipse, but I totally forgot about it. Like, I don't exactly know why. It doesn't make any sense. I should have been thinking about it, because I'm like, oh, eclipse tomorrow, I'll just make the video. But I forgot, so I'm sorry about that, but yeah, you can hear it now, in a belated sense. But you can get, up to date on the live stream that I did for the eclipse. I say the same things. The first truth is that eclipses are not negative. They do not create bad luck. Spirits don't fly out of the moon and cause sickness or anything like that. That much is clear. That's bunk. That's the sort of stuff people used to say back, in 600 AD or something along those lines. It's just not true. What an eclipse does do, though, is because it causes social panic among the population because they believe that something bad may happen. Those parts of society are negatively impacted. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, though, because they're more fixated on the negative on such days. And so it brings about a temporary spirit of negativity. Someone gets hurt, they blame it on the eclipse. A terrorist attack happens, the eclipse portends doom. And as far as Revelation goes, the predictions that were being made regarding the eclipse usually involved Yellowstone exploding. If they didn't, they involved the fact that the specific astronomical alignment that occurred during this last full solar eclipse also involved the Virgo, alluded to astronomically in Revelation, Leo, Jupiter sort of being born of this virgin, and so forth. And that is, it appears, true. But this same particular alignment also happened in the past and will happen in the future. It's also just one of many possible alignments that could be alluded to if you assume that the Book of Revelations is astronomical lore to begin with. I happen to largely agree with this. In the past, I said it was related to Nero. I realized that didn't make 100% sense. What I look at the Book of Revelations as is just metaphor. That is, it's a spiritual diatribe. It has nothing to do with predicting a literal end time. And so I don't sit there worrying about it, because that sort of takes off of Romanish tradition. Pre-Christian. We're talking pagan Romans. The city of Rome will be around until, a certain number of years have passed, and it'll collapse. And there have been predictions from further beyond in the past. But the more authentic side of spiritual lore regarding like Armageddon or disasters of that scale involve the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new one. Like Kali Yuga doesn't portend the destruction of the whole universe. It portends a period of darkness and then you rise back up out of it. Ragnarok doesn't say everything is destroyed forever. It says everything's screwed up for some time and then rebirth occurs. It's like the springtime of the world. The Mayan calendar, it doesn't have an ending, it just begins its cycle again, with these different sort of prophetic backtones associated with different scales of time on various levels, a very, very intricate system, which has a fourth layer that they didn't even know about at the time of the 2012 hysteria. And it was the same thing then. I said, this is going to cause sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy. It has spiritual significance beyond that perhaps too, but it doesn't mean the end times. It doesn't mean all of history ends forever. Here comes God, everyone's either saved or damned, the end, nothing else ever happens for eternity. That's just boring anyway. No sane God would ever design such a system. You realize how bored you'd get? You realize that eventually you'd be totally demented because you'd run out of memory space in your brain in encountering everything forever? It would happen, assuming that you're physical at all. And if not, then you have no tactile sensation, so I guess you're not enjoying your eternity. You're just sort of floating around like some disembodied fool or something. Eclipses do not cause end times. They don't cause natural disasters. A lot of people are saying, there's going to be a big-ass earthquake during this eclipse. Was there? No, there wasn't. And that's the problem with such things. Even if I assume, and I do grant this, such an alignment, because of the fact that it disturbs gravitation very slightly, is capable of creating a slight uptick in seismic activity. But you're still only talking about a minute change in the overall likelihood of a large earthquake. So 99 times out of 100, it's not going to cause anything. Even if it does, it's not the sole contributor. And no, Yellowstone didn't blow up. Well, I wonder why. Could it be because in the time that magma chamber has already been charged and technically ready to go, that same general alignment has occurred over it a number of times? But nobody thought of this because they're talking about just modern times. They're not talking about a scale of many hundreds of thousands or millions of years. They're oblivious. You have to, when you're talking about anything that could be disastrous, catastrophic within a spiritual system, you also have to have an eye to secular things. Because even when we're talking about spiritual, like Armageddon and stuff, you're still denoting physical things that happen. It's like people in the past, like in the medieval era. Every time there was an earthquake, a volcanic eruption, an epidemic, oh, it's demons, it's God, it's Satan, it's something like that. Okay, let's take it on token that you're right, it still involves physical phenomena. Well, then you have to have a secular eye to the physical side of the phenomena that you're attributing to a divine cause. The earthquake is still very physical. It's the movement of the plates of the earth against one another. The volcano, volcanic movement, it's not fully understood in every possible sense of the term, even harder to predict, but we know it's secular. It happens on Earth. It happened long before humans were here. Epidemic, we now know it's not caused by a miasmatic sort of thing. It's not caused by a bunch of demons making you sick. It's caused by germs. It's caused by bacteria and viruses. So these are things that people have to keep in mind. So I think astronomical movements, they certainly have significance insofar as they impact human behavior. And long term, through the chaos theory, that's unpredictable as far as how it changes the course of history. I would also say, and I pointed this out during the live stream, for a very long time mankind explicitly governed every action by the stars and the moon and the sun. There was no other alternative. There weren't electric lights. There was no way to prolong the light of day and continue working. It gets dark. Well, you know, I'm not going to sit there reading by torchlight too often. I'm just going to go to bed. That's what people did. You don't go out at night. There are wild animals out there, of course. You know, you don't go into certain areas. At certain times a year you plant, certain times you reap, certain times you go get drunk because there's nothing to do outside. Here's the proper time of year to conceive. There's the proper time of year to marry. It governed everything. We don't 100% do that anymore, but it's still something that biologically I think we got in tune with. We do keep these things in mind. We look at the circadian rhythm and its changes perhaps to see our slow abandonment of these more natural cycles in favor of artifice. That's about all. Peace out.